Uncle Weezy in the spot, bringing stats like a kingpin. MMA knowledge needs his nephews all lean in. Breaking down fights, calling stat daddy supreme. On just a tip show, he's cooking up a dream. Uncle Weezy, he the man. Dropping fight facts, got it all on hand. He the stat attack grand. MMA guru, more than just a fan. Wanna know the numbers? Weezy got them cataloged. From the fighters reach down to how many times they dog. Just a tip living, breaking it down slick. Hit you with the knowledge, won't miss a single trick. Uncle Weezy, he the man. Dropping fight facts, got it all on hand. He the stat attack grand. MMA guru, more than just a fan. Those deep predictions, he be making those calls. Getting in the details, opponents feeling small. From jazz to takedowns, got the whole fight ID. Uncle Weezy spitting truth, no lie, keep it G. Blow the horn, blow the horn. Stat Daddy Weezy not showing no scorn. Fight Night Kingdom, he wearing the crown. Break it down for the peeps, never looking like a clown.
Oh, yes. What's going on, everybody? It is Friday afternoon. We just had the weigh-ins for UFC Vegas 98, and it was a shit show. Like a lot of these Vegas cards are, the professionalism is not the same as it is on the pay-per-view cards. We had Josh Fremd missing weight by 3 pounds. That fight has been called off. We had Jared Gooden miss weight, and we had Dan Argueta miss weight. So definitely... yeah, it's an Apex card. We get the lower level fighters on the Apex cards, and the lower level fighters oftentimes are a lot less professional. Lucas Rocha made weight, though, and he missed weight by 5 pounds for his Contender Series fight. And we also had CJ Vergara miss weight, who's missed weight in make weight, who's missed weight in 3 of his last 6 UFC fights. So good to see some of the guys who have missed weight in the past actually make weight, but we had Fremd screw it up, we had Argueta screw it up, and we had Gooden screw it up. So, yeah, we're going to give you guys a Greasy 4-leg parlay today that last week's was bad, you guys. We only cashed 1 out of the 3 legs. The Stephen Thompson plus 3.5 points handicap was looking good up until about halfway through the 3rd round, at which point it was looking very bad. We had the over in the Pennington fight. We had the under 2.5 rounds in the Pereira Roundtree fight, which obviously didn't happen. And I forget what the other leg was, but yeah, this one is going to be about plus 560 on DraftKings Sportsbook. And I've got 2 plus 3.5 points handicap. So I will also give an alternate parlay that is going to be a lot more accessible on all the other betting websites. But let's just get right into it here. We're going to talk about leg number 1, which is Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week. It is going to be the Clayton Carpenter money line at minus 218 on DraftKings Sportsbook. If we go right up here, it's the very first fight of the night, minus 218. So Clayton, I do have his Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week this week. Not a big believer in Lucas Rocha. This guy has got no takedown defense, and he gives up his back all the time. He's getting... beaten up by a lot of very low-level regional scene guys, and now he's fighting Clayton Carpenter, a guy who's been taking fights around the world since the age of 12. So Carpenter, I feel, is just as good, if not better, of the striker here, and I think he's a way, way, way better grappler. What I worry about with a guy like Lucas Rocha is the fact that he's got a lot of output. He's got a lot of cardio, and he seems to be able to come back from adversity. And the reason we know that he can come back from adversity is because he's facing adversity in every single fight, but yet he still has something like a 17-1 professional record. So he's been knocked out cold once, and he's been put in a ton of bad spots on the mat. But he's kind of one of these type of guys that never stops squirming. He never stops trying to get back up, and he never stops throwing volume when he's on the feet. So if Clayton slows down at all, if he gets like close to finishing but isn't able to finish and has an adrenaline dump, those are the kind of things that I worry about here. But I think Clayton is better than this kid. in most areas of mixed martial arts outside of output and just general, just like constant offense. That's what we look at. Like a guy like Rocha leaves so many openings. He gets hits clean so many times. He gets taken down so easily so many times. He gives up his back while trying to get up so many times because he's not thinking about defense at all. So if you put offensive output on Lucas Rocha and he doesn't go away, that's when he becomes a little bit scary. So, but this guy Carpenter is not the kind of guy that I worry about like breaking if he can't finish somebody. I think that he's mentally tough. I think he's shown, especially on Dana White's Contender Series against somebody I consider to be a much better fighter in Edgar Cairez. He lost that first round, but then came back and won the second and third. So I do think that Clayton Carpenter is going to win this fight. I think he's going to make it look fairly easy. I'm predicting a first round finish by submission for Clayton, but I also think that the KO is live. So Clayton Carpenter at minus 218 is going to be the first leg of this Greasy 4-leg parlay. Leg 2 is going to be my favorite parlay piece of the week. This Pilastri is going to play out very close. I don't think Julia Pilastri is that much better than Corey McKenna anywhere in mixed martial arts. Except for size. She is bigger, she is longer. But other than that, this is going to be a close fight. And I think that Corey is somebody that we can count on to win some minutes with wrestling and grappling if she goes to it. And even if she doesn't, I think that we've seen her strike effectively enough against lateral type of competition to Julia Pilastri to suggest that she can win one of these rounds on the judges' scorecards. Right now, we've got the over 2.5 rounds is sitting at minus 445. So that basically means that the judges, or I mean, the bookies are telling you the implied probability of this fight seeing the scorecards, probably about 80%, probably about minus 400, right? So when we consider that, we just got to consider that Corey McKenna doesn't get finished, or that she loses all 3 rounds and it winds up being a 30-27 on the scorecards here, or 30-27 on one scorecard, 29-28 on the other 2. We think that Corey McKenna is going to keep this fight close. I mean, I think that she could get a takedown, get to Pilastri, get to a dominant position, either it be half guard or maybe getting to the back of Pilastri and just riding out one of the rounds to win it easily with her grappling. Minus 225 for the plus 3.5 points handicap right there. Brings us up to plus 110. I have a tracked bet where I parlayed Corey McKenna's plus 3.5 points handicap with Grant Dawson's money line to get about minus 130-ish. And I played that for about 3 units. I just think that this is going to be a close fight, and I don't think that Julia is that much better than Corey anywhere. I kind of see it as a coin flip. I think maybe even McKenna should be slightly favored here because of the grappling upside. But either way, that's going to be the second leg of this parlay, is that plus 3.5 points handicap for Corey McKenna. Leg number 3 is going to be the CJ Vergara plus 3.5 points handicap. That is my Bootsy Collins Memorial Dogs Are Barking pick of the week. When I watch the tape on Tamarov, I'm just not impressed. I think that he's a good regional scene fighter. He's got power, and he throws with power and purpose on the feet. But what he doesn't do is he doesn't have a lot of output. He almost never puts combinations together, and he doesn't really wrestle offensively. And I've seen him put on his back a number of times as well, and just kind of get ridden out and taken down. So Tamarov is somebody who I feel like has to land big shots in each round. And if he doesn't, I think he's going to get outworked and outvolumed. And this being his UFC fight coming all the way from Uzbekistan, this is a potential for him slowing down late in the fight, for nerves affecting him, for there being an adrenaline dump after the first round. And CJ Vergara is the kind of guy who doesn't fuck off. He stays in your face. He's got a lot of pressure. He's got a lot of volume, and he hits hard. And if he gets you hard to the body, you're going down. So CJ Vergara, I think, is going to be a tough opponent. And if you don't get Vergara out of there early, he can really wear on you in rounds 2 and 3 with that pressure. And if Ramazan, due to it being his UFC debut, slows down at all, I think that that's going to be a problem for him, because when you watch the tape on this guy, I think you guys are going to see. You watch the Mihail Sirdu fight. He fought a Moldovan guy who was pressuring him and was wrestling, and it was a very close fight. And he did not deal with the pressure in a particularly good way. And you see that the output isn't really there. And when he's being pressured, he looks terrible optically, because he basically just runs. He just skirts around the outside of the cage. He tries to get your respect, get you to fuck off with big shots. But if you can get in on his hips, you can make this dude work. And he is a tank. He's a ball of muscle, but he's going to slow down in the second half of this fight if CJ can weather that early storm and put a pace on him. So I really like CJ to win one of the rounds of this fight. I think that this line is a joke. This guy Temirov has not beaten anybody that would suggest he should be minus 350 against any UFC fighter in his debut, coming all the way from Uzbekistan. So like Vergara here, it's a nice number at plus 100 that's going to fatten this parlay up and give us a better chance of making some money if it does cash. And then leg number 4 that we're going to finish off on here is going to be the Chidi Njokuani money line at minus 175. I wanted to kind of finish on the Grant Dawson money line here at minus 425, but that only got us up to plus 420 on the parlay. And you know how greasy your Uncle Weezy likes to get, so that's not greasy enough for me. So we take out Grant Dawson, we put in Chidi at minus 175, and that brings us up to plus 562. And I'm picking Chidi Njokuani to win this fight. Not only do I think that he's just as powerful, if not more powerful, than Jared Gooden on the feet, I also believe that Chidi can mix in the wrestling here to win minutes. Jared Gooden is a guy who's getting taken down by everybody who tries to take him down. So that is something that I'm worried about, because Jared loses a ton of minutes on the ground if you choose to wrestle at all against him. We saw Carlston Harris do it. We saw guys on the regional scene do it to him. The guy that gassed out in one round against him, I want to say Blackshear. I know it's definitely not Blackshear, but it's a name that reminds me of Blackshear. DeMarcus Jackson absolutely took him down. Doug Usher took him down and worked him from top position. Aaron Highball was trying to take him down. We saw Carlston Harris take him down 5 times. We saw Wellington Turman take him down once. So I think that not only is Chidi going to be better at distance, I think he's going to be better in the clinch. And I think that he has a chance to win minutes in the grappling exchanges as well if he chooses to try to get takedowns. So one of the spots that I just gave out on Twitter, you guys, if we go to fight props, you can go to takedowns landed here. And Chidi Njokuani, oh man. All right. So I gave it out, you guys. I gave out over 0.5 takedowns on Twitter here at plus 700. If you follow me on Twitter at MMA Weezy, you'll see I gave that out at plus 700. It's been moved now to plus 400, but still at plus 400, 20% implied probability that he lands one takedown against the guy who's known for losing minutes on the ground. Chidi Njokuani's over takedown prop is something that I like. But if you add him in on the money line here at minus 175, it brings this parlay up to plus 562 on DraftKings Sportsbook. My pick for the fight is Chidi Njokuani to win by decision, because Jared Gooden's only been finished in 2 of 9 losses. He is a very durable guy. So I think that Chidi's going to win, but I also think that Chidi has some finishing upside as well, because he does hit extremely hard. But he cuts a ton of weight to make 170, so maybe the power won't be there as much. And, you know, with the new gloves too, you would probably need him to land an elbow or a knee or a kick in order to land a knockout, because like knockouts don't seem to be coming with the gloves anymore unless you are a gigantic dude. And even then, like, you didn't even see a finish in the Volkov Pavlovich fight. So in the Almeida Poterier fight. So yeah, plus 562 DraftKings Sportsbook. That's where we're at for this one. I'm going to throw a hat. And I suggest some of you get on that over 0.5 takedowns for Chidi at plus 400. I got it at plus 700. Hopefully some of you guys did too. But I think that that's a really cheeky line. But once again, you guys, leg one, Clayton Carpenter money line. That's Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week at minus 218. Leg two, the Corey McKenna plus 3.5 points handicap is minus 225. Leg three, CJ Vergara plus 3.5 points handicap at plus 100. Leg four, Chidi Njokuani money line at minus 175. So if you don't have access to those plus 3.5 points handicaps, I am fine with throwing either Grant Dawson's money line in there and Jonathan Pierce, Pat Sabatini fight doesn't go to decision. So if you were to take out McKenna and Vergara, right? And then we go to fight props. Does fight go the distance? No, plus 110. And then we go to fight lines and we go to Grant Dawson minus 425. That brings a parlay up to plus 494. That's what I would play there if I wanted to make it something that would be a lot more accessible on other sites. But 3.5 points handicaps when I think that the underdog is going to keep it close. And I think Corey McKenna keeps this fight close, if not wins it. And I think that CJ Vergara wins the second half of the fight against Temirov. And since Temirov needs the gloves to land the knockout, we don't see a lot of knockouts at flyweight. I think that this fight's going to go the full 15. And I think Vergara is going to find some success and win one of those 3 rounds. So, yeah, like we say, you guys, we got it right there. That's the parlay. Njokuani, Vergara plus 3.5. Plus 3.5 and Carpenter minus 218 on the money line. Let's see what you guys think in the chat here. We've got my guy, House of Pain, Michael, in the room saying, let's light it up, boy. You, Michael, one of the people on my Patreon. And if you want to join the Patreon, you can get access to my fight write-ups on every fight. We got 56 pages of write-ups for this one here. You get access to the individual stats for each fighter. The matchup stats for each fight, the betting models for the over-under bets, the betting models for the prop bets, access to the Discord, access to all the tracked bets, access to over 4 hours of subscriber-only content. Balls Deep breakdowns this week went 2.5 hours. Probability went 90 minutes. $25 a month for the probability package on Patreon, on Dub Club. The links are in the description of this video. If you are a do-it-yourself MMA bettor and you don't need other people's picks in order to make up your own mind, my statistics package that I offer is going to give you access to more information that you could possibly use. And it's going to give you the opportunity to make more informed decisions, having all the information at your fingertips before you pull the trigger on a bet. And you can always convert all these lines into implied probabilities and do the math to find out what the pricing of the bets are. And that is how I have been changing my methodology around to, find better fight picks and then be more accurate on those picks. You could see it. I'm the number 1 capper this year in terms of picking straight fights, I think, or maybe number 2, because I think Will Martin was having a crazy year at something well over 70%. But my fight picks are hitting at 69% this year. And I've been first place on Tapology in 2 of the last weeks in the last 10 and 3 times in the top 20. So, yeah, join that Patreon. Let's light it up together. Let's make some money betting on these fights. We got my guy, the Godfather, Kadeep Montana, in the room saying, "Oi!" And he is saying the vibes are high. Real Fight Pick saying that Josh Fremd is his lock and his most confident pick. Well, unfortunately, that is not going to happen. But also Real Fight Picks, there's 100% chance that you don't lose on that pick either, but there's also 100% chance that you don't win because the fight has been called off. We got Sydney Lisk in the room saying, "Oi, what's up, Sydney?" We got, brother friend fight is off. Yep. And Sped saying, "No way." We got Kadeep saying, "Yes, sir. Friend came in 3 pounds over. I know Abdul has got to be mad." Yeah, dude, because now Razak cut weight. He showed up. And I mean, I don't know how it works, but like when I interviewed Cody Brundage and he was talking about having a fight canceled on fight week, you get nothing. You pay coaches You go out there, you train, you kill yourself to make weight, you show up, you get on the scale. Abdulrazak Al Hassan was second to the scale today. He had a big smile on his face. He was ready to fight. And now he might have done all of that for literally nothing. No venom bonus, no fight check, no nothing, because Josh Fremd shows up 3 pounds heavy and cannot make the weight, and the fight is called off. So you got to feel for Abdulrazak Al Hassan right now. The scale was minus 500. We got Khadif saying he keeps getting the worst luck. Yeah, man, that's for sure. I mean, he got so fucked in the Brundage fight too, man. We got Dreamer is in the room saying, "What's up, Wiz? What's up, Dreamer? Good to see you hanging out in here." We got Sped saying, "Friend, going to get cut for that." Yes, he probably is. Right, this is a business at the end of the day, and the UFC hates unprofessionalism. Yeah, and that's one less fight. You know, it's one less fight, so they're not going to like it. We got House of Pain, Michael, true. We got his last fight was against a cokehead named Juan Camilo Ronderos, who has knocked out several 8 balls in his day, but he's not knocking. So Real Fight Picks is on Josh Fremd as his lock of the week, and he's talking about Clayton getting knocked out in round 4 or 5 by Juan Camilo Ronderos. You got to love it. Captain Nemo saying, "Get the likes up, gentlemen." What is up, Captain Nemo? We got Kadeep Montana saying the Carpenter resume is nice. I agree, man. I think that he's a really good fighter, but it's a 1.5 year layoff. That's what worries me. So, but like I say, it's a fight game. Sometimes they hit, sometimes they don't. You guys, shit. You know what, man? I should have fucking streamed this to Twitter. Yeah, Fremd is a lock to not win or lose. We got Ruthless saying, "I like the Dawson minus 3.5 points handicap as a parlay play. Hit it against Selecki, and I think that this is an easier fight, honestly. Don't think Garcia can stop the takedowns." Yeah, dude, and like the thing about Dawson that you have to worry about is that not even just like him completing a single or double leg, but even if he gets in on a single or a double leg, this dude starts working to your back. And you have to be so worried about him not getting to your back that he can kind of just rotate towards your back and then rotate back towards whatever takedown he's looking for, whether it's the single or the double. And he can consistently just get your weight moving. And once he gets your weight moving, then he can move you. Then he can get you to go the way that he wants you to go. This guy, Dawson, is an absolute master at getting to people's backs. And when you get to people's backs, you take no damage. And when you take no damage, you're a very dominant fighter. And that's what Grant Dawson is. One of the bets that I like this week is fight doesn't go to decision, because Dawson showed that he probably can't take too much of a punch. So even though Rafa Garcia is not a guy that's got a ton of power, obviously, he's never even knocked anyone down in the UFC. I think he only has 1 career win by knockout. And yeah, not a ton of power, but if he lands 1 clean punch and the guy that has no chin, well, then there's a possibility for a Garcia finish. But also, I think that Dawson gets to his back. And once he gets to your back in the first round, it's exhausting. If he does it again in the second and you survive, it's even worse. And then in the third, when you know that you need a finish because you've been 10-8'd in the first 2 rounds and haven't landed a punch, and then he goes out there and he gets that takedown in the third round, that's when people start to say, you know what, I'm just going to raise my chin a little bit, put the choke in here. I don't want another 3.5 minutes of this, because my check is going to be the same. It's going to be the loser's check. I'm not beating this guy. So I like that minus 3.5 points handicap. I think that that's a pretty good play. We got my guy Broke DGen in the room saying, "I'm here, Uncle. The Broke DGen is back." We got Jeff in the room saying, "Weezy, what's up, Jeff? Good to see you hanging out here, man." We got Let's Roll saying, "Uncle is now moving the lines. I love it. Let's go." Yeah, do that. Well, those lines do move pretty easily, and I gave it out on Twitter, so I know that those are the lines that like a little old me can move a takedown line on DraftKings, but not the money lines, man. We leave those to some of the bigger cappers out there that are actually moving those lines. Maybe a podunk little takedown line on DraftKings I can move. Uncle Weezy is my real uncle because I don't have any other uncles. Yes, dude, you know, I'm your uncle. I'm everybody's uncle, you know. I'm MMA Twitter's favorite uncle. I'm YouTube's favorite uncle, you know, especially when it comes to MMA picks. So appreciate you, Broke DGen. We got Lethal Sugar saying friend was never winning this fight. Temirov is going to have his way with CJ Vergara. Yeah, I mean, a lot of the bookies certainly think that. He's minus 350 on the line. I mean, I don't know, man. I watched the tape. I just was not impressed. Olajuwon Dream is in the room saying, "Oh, what's up, Olajuwon Dream?" We got Sultan in the room saying, "Oh, we got Ring a ding ding, you guys." My guy Riff Raff in the house saying, hit the like for Uncle Weezy. Guy putting in the work. We're going to hit this weekend and stack winning tickets like flapjacks. Let's go, Riff Raff. Look at this guy keeping the lights on here in your Uncle Weezy's studio. Truly appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for the $20 donation. We've got Olajuwon saying late, but we here, and he is saying ring a ding ding to the generous donation from our guy Riff Raff. Truly appreciate you, brother. We got Mark Frost saying in the room, can't get point spreads on my books in the UK. Yes. So Mark, here's what you do. If you don't get the point spreads, pull out the Corey McKenna and CJ Vergara point spreads and instead put in either the Grant Dawson money line at minus 425, and the fight doesn't go to decision for Pierce versus Sabatini at plus 110. That'll bring you up to not quite plus 570, but something like plus 540 in that range. And I think that that's a really good play too. One bet that I am tracking this week is going to be that fight doesn't go to decision for Pierce and Sabatini. Pierce has been subbed a number of times, and Sabatini's 11 wins and 0 losses to the submission as a professional. And Sabatini's been knocked down by 3 different fighters in the UFC that are not known for their power. Damon Jackson, not known for his power. Jamal Emmers, not known for his power. And then he did get knocked down by Diego Lopez, who's been knocking a lot of dudes down. So that dude is known for his power. But either way, and we also saw Damon Jackson knocked down Sabatini with a front kick to the face, which is something that Jonathan Pierce was landing over and over in the Darren Elkins fight. So yeah, pull out the point spreads, put in fight doesn't go to decision for Pierce, put in the Grant Dawson money line, and that would be a great parlay as well. We got A+ in the room saying salute Weezy. We've got Jeff Bruno saying missing weight should carry a punishment of 3 more bouts at the apex. Guarantee that'll put a stop to this nonsense. The only reason that's a bad idea, Jeff Bruno, is it would guarantee that we would still have apex events. We should be traveling as much as possible. I know it's more work on the UFC brass to do that, but to get those live crowds, I think it really adds to the sport. It makes the fights more fun to watch when they're not in a quiet warehouse somewhere in the middle of the Vegas desert. I like it when they go to all these different cities, when they travel to Europe, when they travel to Australia, when they travel to Abu Dhabi, when they travel to the Far East. God, we got to get them in Korea and China and Japan more, Hawaii. There are so many places, you know, that the UFC really needs to go. They got to get down to Brazil at least a couple of times a year. You got to be doing events in Brazil. Mexico, you know, and then all these cities in the United States should be hosting events. You know, we got to get, now that we got Juliana Pena as a champion here in Chicago, and we got Bilal Muhammad as a champion here in Chicago, we got to get a Chicago card in 2025 without question. So yeah, we got to stop fights being fought at the apex is what we need to stop. We got Benino saying 69% nice. Yeah, man. When you write up this much on every fight, and when you take into account all the necessary information, when you talk about the last 3 fights of each card, when you talk about the recency bias, the market accuracy of how the money lines are priced, when you talk about both fighters overall and UFC strength of schedule, when you talk about the distance striking stylistic components, when you talk about the clinch and grappling stylistic components, when you talk about the strengths and weaknesses of each fighter in comparison to their opponent, and then write up a summary, you're gonna make better fight picks than you would if you were just like, oh, yeah, Carpenter. I've seen Rocha get taken down a lot. Carpenter should be able to take him down. I like Carpenter. You got to take all the information into account. And I've noticed that my pick percentage is going up when I put more work in. It's plain and simple. It's like anything in life. If you work harder at something, you're going to get better at it. We got Professor Chaos in the room saying, what's up, Uncle Weezy? You like this card from a betting perspective? I do. I like it a lot more than I liked UFC 307. I was kind of having problems finding spots in 307. I've got big bets already on this card, about 7.5 units, and there were spots that I was waiting to see people on the scales. I'm going to start firing on some more bets right now. Yeah, I'm going to be probably almost double my normal exposure to this card just because of how many spots there are sticking out to me. We got Red Bar Rants in the room as well, saying Red Bar is watching the Greasy 4-leg parlay. Let's go. We got Nasty Bertrude in the room saying, oh, Jesus, you had 2,000 on Abdul. There was a bunch of money on him. Yeah, man, and maybe Vegas got nervous and they told Josh, and they poisoned Josh last night or something like that, man. They're like, if this guy makes it to the cage and gets his face beaten in, then we're gonna lose a ton of money. So let's make sure Josh doesn't show up. I didn't know that Sal had a bad baccarat habit. Oh, it's great. I love it, man. Yes, I think that is a very good parlay piece. I worry a little bit about Tavares' durability at this point in his career, but Jun Young Park isn't going to like head kick you into oblivion. He's not going to clinch elbow you or knee you into oblivion. He's a boxer and a volume one at that. What I worry about actually in terms of a finish there is Tavares landing a lot of leg kicks. I think a boxer like Park, who's very heavy on his lead leg, that Tavares might have a lot of success with leg kicks there. So that's something I worry about in that fight. But I think the over 1.5 is a pretty good parlay piece. Here, let's take a look at my betting models, which are available on the Patreon, you guys. And if you want to watch Balls Deep breakdowns this week, 2.5 hours, you can always go to the Patreon, even if you're not a member of the Patreon. It's available for download for $5 an episode. So you can pay $5 and watch 2.5 hours of analysis where we go through these fight write-ups for every single fight on the card and talk about all of the stylistic components of the fight. It's worth it even if you just want to watch on 2 or 3 fights, because nobody does as in-depth of breakdowns on these fights as I do. So yeah, I do think that that's a pretty good parlay piece. And if we look at a -400 here on the betting model for oh wow, I had it at -560 for the over 1.5, and my model even shows that as being 1.73% plus EV. So yeah, at -400, that would be looking a lot better, about 5% more, I would say. Yeah, so we're up to 11%. Yeah, 15 of 18 Brad Tavares fights have went over 1.5 rounds. 9 of 10 Jun Young Park fights have went over 1.5 rounds. So that's 24 of 28, or 85.71%. As you can see right there, you're paying 80% on the line as the over 1.5. So you're getting a 5.71 break or 5.71% break when you compare the combined fighters' performance to the price of the line. And you see that these guys are going over 1.5 rounds at 85%, while the division only goes there at 62%. So they're fighters who do see that number a lot more than the divisional average. So yeah, my model likes that play, but I think that if you can find that, that's a great parlay piece for this week. Absolutely sped. Lethal Sugar saying Mike Bell and Sam. Yeah, they're and don't forget Ron McCarthy. Don't forget Chris Lee. Please don't forget a lot of these guys. We got Real Fight Pick saying, my bad, I didn't. I meant Edgar Cairez. But why would you say that? I mean, Cairez lost the second and third rounds of that fight. He won the first. He lost the second and the third. And you think Clay would have got finished in the fourth or fifth after he won 2 straight rounds? I don't understand that. And I mean, like, Cairez is a good fighter. It's a lot better than Lucas Rocha. That is amazing because I've always been with Will Martin the whole time, and I really did listen to him all the time. And when he picked an underdog, I would always bet it for sure. Yeah, I think I saw earlier in the year that Will's pick percentage was ridiculous. Like everybody was here, and then Will was like literally way up there. So yeah, I think Will's having a phenomenal year. Broke Degen, yeah, he took a big break because he had a family, and he actually did just spend time with his family for a couple of years. No kidding. All right. We got Real Fight Pick saying, my bad, Unc. I meant Edgar Cairez. He almost closed Clayton's eyes. Yeah, he did in the first round. He closed Clayton's eye in the first round. Appreciate that alternate parlay, man. Let's cash it. Yeah, you got it, Mark. The Carpenter layoff, though, because he's so young, he probably got a lot better during that time. And he's fully rested and healed and healthy and as strong as possible. Yeah, dude, that's the thing. Some of these, when an older fighter takes a long layoff, that's a bit of a red flag. But Clayton Carpenter is still very young in his career. So hopefully the reason for that layoff was maybe he had a lot of nagging injuries. And he was like, you know what, let me get healthy, because he probably could have performed even better if he wasn't 100%. So yeah, we'll see what the layoff does for him. It could be good. It could be bad. We're going to find out on Saturday, Broke DGen. My guy KD Montana saying, join the Patreon. Last week was a movie. This week will be another movie. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. He provides everything. And it's true. I do provide everything. And I really do think it's a phenomenal value to join the Patreon at $25 a month for all of the information that you get access to, in addition to all my picks too. You're getting the picks of the second best capper right now on in terms of fight picks that's out there, maybe even the best. I mean, like, how many guys have placed first on Tapology this year? Not many. I've done it twice. So yeah, man, I appreciate you, KD Montana. Thank you for the kind words. JWTV saying, Dan Argetta missed weight by 3 pounds. I might have to fade him, and maybe he gets KO'd or he loses by decision. Look, I like Haddon here. I think he's a really good fighter. You got to keep in mind, Cody Haddon is from Perth. Perth to Vegas is at least a 20 to 25 hour flight, maybe even closer to 30. It is such a bad trip. And then you look at how many fighters have underperformed in their UFC debut. It being his debut, him having to fly from Perth to Vegas and then have to deal with the potential nerves and adrenaline dump and constant wrestling pressure from a guy who now didn't even make weight and who's going to be bigger than he should be. He didn't cut those last 3 pounds, so that hurts. That hurts Cody Haddon if he's trying to stop those takedowns. So I think Cody Haddon wins. I'm picking him to win. And I think that a finish is actually very live as well for Cody Haddon, because the guy's got a 100% finish rate as a professional. But it's that UFC debut. It's the trip from Perth. It's the potential nerves. It's the potential adrenaline dump. All that is keeping me off of laying juice on Cody Haddon. We got Forrest saying, my first time watching your show, Uncle Weezy. Love your content. Have a great weekend. Appreciate you, Forrest. Thanks for hanging out, man. We got Sped saying, thanks a lot for the very in-detail breakdown. You got it, Sped. That's what I'm here to do, man. Weezy, do you have a pick for Bivol Berter? I do not. No, I have no idea what's going on with boxing. And we got Forrest Daniel saying, Uncle Weezy, Max Holloway or Ilya Topuria? It's going to be interesting because Max Holloway is a guy who's never been knocked out in his career. And Ilya Topuria is somebody who's got ridiculous nuclear power in his hands. So it's going to be interesting to see if Holloway, at his age, with as many miles as he has on the engine at this point in his career, can hold up against the power of Ilya. I also believe that Ilya, if he wants, can wrestle and get some takedowns here. I think I like Ilya here. I haven't taped it yet, and I need to look further into it and do all the research, but I'm leaning with the youth and the nuclear power of Ilya Topuria at this point. But boxing with Max Holloway for 5 rounds is going to be extremely challenging for Ilya Topuria if he doesn't grapple at all. So it's going to be a phenomenal main event for UFC Abu Dhabi. And for everybody that's on the Patreon, the UFC Abu Dhabi stats are already available for you guys if you want to get ahead and research that card. You guys, thank you for your attention. Thank you Riff Raff for the $20 donation to the show. Appreciate all you guys hanging out. Let's stack cash tickets like flapjacks for UFC Vegas 98. And we will see you on Sunday for Stat Diggers with my guy DFS by the Numbers on his YouTube channel. Thank you guys for hanging out. God bless each and every one of you. Enjoy these fights. Let's stack cash tickets like flapjacks while we're watching them. And then we'll be right back to business for next week's UFC Vegas 99 card, is it? Is that? Yeah, it's the Alec, my guy Anthony Hernandez is fighting Michelle Pereira in a main event next week. That's going to be a phenomenal card. Can't wait for Hernandez main event. But thank you guys for watching, and we will see you guys next week. Take care.